Hello everyone, in this video we're going to be putting new wheel bearings in these 13-inch Hallmaster wheels and tires from Harbor Freight. I bought these about 3 years ago. The first time I used it, put any amount of weight on the trailer, those hubs snapped free of the center of the wheel. So I had to weld them. You can see some weld around the perimeter of that hub to the wall of the wheel. I welded on both sides right there. Gave it much more strength, and it's been fine ever since. But because when those broke loose, they bent a little bit, so these wheels do wobble just a tiny bit, but no big deal. But anyway, over the years, the bearings have went out of it. You can see these are 5/8 bearings that come with them. You can see that brass bushing I put in. That's for a 1/2 inch because that's what the axle is on my trailer. Also, this spring, whenever I had some weight on this in like a hot sunny day, you can see that tire flattened out. When these tires get hot, they get real soft. So I'm going to use a heat gun and try to fix that. But here you can see that bearing is very loose. So I'm going to get these bearings out, put new bearings in, and try to heat this tire up to get that flat spot out of it. Let's see if that'll work. Here's that bronze bushing that reduces from 5/8 to 1/2 inch. I think I bought those on Amazon. I'll put a link in the description to these wheels and that reducer bushing. Here's another one of the bearings that is shot. Here are the new bearings that I purchased off Amazon. I'll put a link in the description below, but these are actually on size for the hub at 1 inch and 3/8, and then the ID is 1/2 inch, so I don't need that reducer bushing anymore, which is perfect. And these look much more heavy duty. These ones are actually meant for tractors, so hoping they'll handle the weight better. There you can see 1/2 inch by 1 and 3/8 is the size that you need for these wheels. And let's see if they'll fit. They seem real tight, and it feels good, like it's going to go in. Comparing the two, you can see the new ones are a little bit wider, have a little bit larger flange, which is probably a good thing, and the inner race is a little bit wider, so more bearing surface on the axle itself, which will be good, and the inner race is a lot thicker. Anyway, I'm going to put some music to this while I get these bearings in. You'll see me pulling the bearings in the other wheels, and then try to get that flat spot out of the tire. Enjoy. can see the heat got rid of a lot of that dent. Next I'm going to actually go to the air compressor and I'm going to try cooling it. It's really hot still right now in this clip. I'm going to try cooling it from the center outward and see if that kind of pulls it back into shape. See, it's real firm and where it's cold and real soft where it's hot. So I'm going to try cooling it in the middle to pull the material from the outside towards the middle and then see if that gets this dent all the way out. Right now it's still there just a little bit. And here's after the air compressor, just blowing air on it, and it did work. It pulled it right into shape. So that's where it was dented, and it's totally gone now. Maybe one little spot that's got a dent left in it, but otherwise it's almost back to normal, which is great. Got rid of that flat spot. When you tow it, the trailer would bounce because of that flat spot. So pretty happy that this is fixed. And here it is. This one was actually probably the best one of all 4 bearings. Next I'm going to show you the bearing that actually failed that kind of triggered me to replace these. We noticed it failed whenever we were moving that Millennium buck cut. If you watched that video, I didn't film us moving it with this trailer, but that tree stand weighs, I think it's almost 400 pounds, and we had it on the trailer and I was standing on the trailer to hold it. So probably 600 pounds on this trailer, and this bearing didn't like that. It didn't make it. But anyway, this is an improvement. I think these bearings should last a lot longer. So next we're gonna sand this, clean it up, put some anti-seize in it, put the new bearings back in this one. back on the farm at the trailer. You can see when that bearing failed, it wore the axle just a little bit. I was gonna weld it, but I'm gonna just run with it. If it breaks, I'll weld new bolts on for new axles. So these were on this trailer originally. I'm guessing they just welded long bolts on here. So anyway, I'm just gonna run with those, even though they are worn a little bit from that failed bearing. And if it breaks or fails, I'll weld new ones on. Put aluminum tape on this side just to kind of cover that up. I don't know if it's going to do much other than maybe take a little bit of slack out between the bearing and the axle. And the inner race of that bearing is actually wide enough that it doesn't kind of fall into that worn area anyway, so it should be fine. But I'm going to put some aluminum tape just to kind of, this bolt either must be smaller overall or worn a little bit more, or this axle, just because this wheel's just a little bit more loose. So I'm just going to use that aluminum tape to take up some space and wish it well. These new bearings don't have those brass, I guess, sleeves or spacers in them. There's the gap now for these to move back and forth. So what I'm going to do is cut one of those brass spacers in half to take up that gap. Figured I'd explain how I got this trailer. Actually, when we bought this farm, a friend of mine was walking the property and he found this behind the old homestead in the woods, and he recommended, hey, can you imagine how awesome it would be to fix this up and use it especially in hunting season, to haul deer and things like that. So took his advice, I fixed it up, and you can see I painted it, put a new deck on it, and new wheels and tires. I had to weld a new tongue on the front to be able to put a hitch pin in it. And I've gotten tons of use out of this thing on the farm, and we've hauled several deer with it. I think originally it was made out of an old twin bed frame, which is kind of unique. It's, who knows how old it is, but anyway, it's holding up really well, and it can haul a lot of weight. And worked well for us, and we use it all the time. I hope that you all enjoyed this video, and I hope that this helps someone else who's trying to make an improvement to their Harbor Freight 13-inch never flat wheels and tires. These bearings are a good improvement, and I'll give you some feedback once I use them for a while. Thanks for watching.